everybody, and welcome to the Large Blast podcast, the Ferrero Rocher of Warhammer podcasts. I'm your host, Stoney, and I'm joined, as always, by Welshie.
Ave Dominus Nox.
And Matt.
War necessitates a different set of morals.
And we like to kick our show off with a little something we call Hobbies Goings On, where we have a look at the hobbies that have been goings on in the hosts' lives. So, Welshie, what have you been doing in your hobbies goings on? Anything's goings on interesting?
Well, Stoney, last week, if listeners remember the last episode of the podcast, we were all quite down. There's lots of negativity online, lots of kind of, I'm a bit worn out.
Bad vibes going around.
A bit worn out of Warhammer. So what I did was I took it back. I stripped it back to the bare essentials. I got myself 2 12-men boxes of termagants, the tiny little Tyranid things.
The grunts.
Put them together and painted them old school, like the same bits over and over again. 20 layers of brown, then 20 layers of slightly lighter brown, then 20 layers of slightly lighter brown. And it was great. So that's what I've been doing.
Jump back into the grind of Warhammer. Nice. The real work that has to be done to get your army out on a table.
No big conversions, no 400-point models, just...
No silent kings, no primarchs, nothing like that. A humble squad of 24 termagants.
That's it. And then Warhammer Plus released. So we'll get to that later.
Boycott the show! Anyway, moving on swiftly then from Welshie. Matt, what have you been up to?
I actually have just finished my entry to the next 28 mag competition.
Ooh, tell us more.
I decided to do it. The competition ends in a couple of days' time. It's been going on for months, and obviously I've left it to the last minute, but it's female Space Marine. I wasn't going to do it, but I just had an idea one day. And if you'll remember when they released the Warhammer Plus miniature of the Vindica assassin in the statue, I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. I've literally just made a model that's like that. Well, that is what that model was. So my entry isn't a female Space Marine. So I'm not expecting to win anything, but I had this idea of a Sister of Battle kneeling and shooting through and standing on a statue of a Space Marine that's like crumbled and his head's gone off. So from a perspective of a photograph, it appears that her head is kind of in the body of the Space Marine.
Okay.
I like that. I was worried we were going to lose even more neckbeards there when you started this.
Right?
But you brought it back round. You brought it back down to...
Yeah. I was seeing they've been reposting stuff, and it's just everyone's just making Space Marines with tits, basically. And I just thought that I'd do something different.
One Space Marine with her pussy out. Like, hey, there it is. It's a female Space Marine.
Cut the codpiece off.
Yeah.
But we all know that Space Marines are only men, and that Sisters of Battle are basically female Space Marines.
Controversial opinions.
Yeah, controversial.
We're getting all the controversy out early on this episode.
Yeah.
But I too have been enjoying this new Games Workshop venture, and it has also rekindled my my love. And I did the Fun Hammer tournament at the Dice Saloon last weekend with Jeff.
Nice.
And that was good. That was good. It was good fun. They liked my lore that I wrote for the army, and I came 12th out of 20, I think.
Nice.
Which was good. And Jeff brought Gazgul.
Excellent.
Yeah, but his mega truck, giant truck thing drove into my army, and he rolled a 6 and then used some stratagems and just blew up literally half my army. We were tied in the first game. Me and Jeff had to play each other. It was amazing. It was amazing. And we were talking about it for the rest of the day, and like in the pub, it was amazing. Like literally half my army was blown up on turn like 1. It was amazing. It was proper orky.
Well, that sounds very good. Yeah, nice, fun. Shout out to the Dice Saloon for hosting that. I think they've got another one coming up at the end of the month. So
check out the Dice Saloon if you're in the Brighton area.
What about you, Stoney?
Well, I've been up to quite a lot for me, really. I don't know if any long-time listeners remember, I think it was the 11th episode we did, the bargain hunt one, where I told everyone about how most of my Games Workshop purchasing was actually done by my alternate me, Drunk Stoney. who gets up off the sofa about 11 o'clock at night and hits the web to make some purchases. I was a bit half cut one night on a Saturday night, and I went on to the Games Workshop website. I can't remember exactly why, but I just thought it was a good idea. And I was met with this was a couple of minutes after midnight, so this was Sunday morning technically, a couple of weeks ago, and I was met with the message, you are in the line for like getting the pre-order thing for the Deathcore guys. What's that? The Kill Team box.
Yeah, Kill Team. Yeah,
and I was like, oh shit, son, I'll have that. And I fucking bought it, and it arrived today. So I've got
great.
I've got the Kill Team box and the special metal measuring thing and all of that. And I'm kind of, and the thing is, again, this was a drunken purchase, and I'm kind of like, there's a part of me that doesn't even want to open it because I don't have a plan for it. Do you know what I mean? I've got a kind of idea to make a cool, like, little sort of Inquisitor type team of like kind of like biological, like botanical guys. They're like kind of collect plants and stuff like that, sort of in a similar vein to the thing that I made, the diorama I made recently with the guy walking through the water, but something like that. But they're all kind of like plant collector guys or something. And I thought maybe I could use the guys for that. But then it's also, I want to be like, because I know that these are cool models and that they're going to be fairly limited, so I don't want to just like jump in and do something off the back of Drunk Stony purchases. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to like just waste these models because Drunk Stony's done all these purchases. So I'm trying to think of what to do with it. But I've got this box, and I'm holding on to it for the moment. I might hold on to it for another 5 years and then put it on eBay, be one of those dickheads. I don't know yet, but I'm still, at the moment, I'm holding on to it, trying to think something to do with it. So if you've got, if you're in desperate need for some Deathcore Krieg and you can make a good case, let me know, and I might give them to you. Who could say? But the other thing I've been doing is I've been making my Lord of Change head on ZBrush, which is quite fun.
Oh, nice.
It's sort of, I reckon it's nearly a printable thing. I've done some feathering effects on it, which I think might not print very well. So I'm sort of taking those off. I'm messing around with that. But yeah, the most important thing that I've done, the actual Games Workshop kind of purchasing and doing the hobby stuff, buying the Kill Team box and then not really knowing what to do with it. It's the news. Wow. It's the chuffing news. Have you heard? 6s are now 4s. It's the news. Gene Stealer Limo's back. News. Hello, Games Workshop fans. Sad day in the news, because all the things that we've been worried about with these McFarlane toys and stuff has come to fruition. You can now go out and buy yourself a Nurgling plushie. So if you didn't feel like the hobby had been diluted enough with other kind of tat you can buy outside of your plastic models, well, you can now snuggle up at night to some plague-bearing fleshy snuggly or whatever. Anyway, this is not my cup of tea. What do you boys think about this? The Nurgle
fucking plushie. Love it.
I've ordered
amazing.
What are you on about?
I want one. This is amazing.
I've got a big one. I've got like a life-size one on the way. So I could
it could be like a big beanbag
in a big pyre. That's why.
I really like it. I've got to
say. You serious? Are you being serious right now?
100% serious. I think this kind
of shit. Matt. Get him off the show.
Guys, we've got to shut down this show. Well, she's been watching Warhammer Plus. Matt likes the Nurgling plushie. It's done.
It's so much better than those, what do they call them? The giant men, the toys, the action men. Like, it's so much better than them. But the Action Men makes more sense to me than this does, because I mean the Action Men is still like, you can buy it unpainted and glue shit to it and like still part of the hobby. This is a teddy bear. This is a teddy bear. This is a Nurgle teddy bear. What use do I have for a teddy bear in my normal life? None whatsoever. You know, like my cat could fuck this, or like my cat could chew it up or something like that. But like other than that, I've got no use for this. I'm definitely going to get one. I didn't realize it was out yet. Maybe it isn't. Maybe they're doing pre-orders.
He's having us on. Shut down the show. So, more controversial news. Warhammer Plus is here. People are kind of still feeling it out. I've seen a little bit online. Not everybody's mad at it, but not everybody's convinced yet. Welshie, we understand that you have been partaking in some Warhammer Plus. What reviews can you give us?
Well, I've not only I've dived right in. I put my 50 quid up front. I've paid for the year. I've jumped in. we've talked about it in seriousness in the past, and like wanting to actually give some of these animators that we've enjoyed making YouTube stuff that have now got hired some money. So I feel like hopefully I'll do that. And I've got everything that's on there. You know, the other bonus to it all is if, you know, you pay 50 quid and you get like a 25 quid miniature, which is cool. And then they also went, you can now get a £10 voucher as well. So it's only really 15 quid for the year if you look at it like that. I mean, I'll have 2 Vindicare assassins, which I don't need, but whatever. I
also looked at it like that the other night, and I also put 50 quid down, and I dived straight in. Late night purchase.
2 Warhammer shields here. Don't worry, listeners. Stoney's still holding out. I'm no. They ain't getting another penny of my money, not after buying that fucking box set.
I haven't read anything online, but I've been too busy watching Warhammer Plus.
Mate, it's great, isn't it?
It's really good. Yeah. It's really good. The stuff on there is really good. There's not a lot yet, but it's really good.
So if you're someone at home and you're, you know, like you were, like kind of thinking about maybe getting this, what are you getting for your money at the moment? What animations and video content?
Well, overall, and then I guess talk about them a little bit more, you're going to get a battle report for 40k or Age of Sigmar. Well, both, if you want to watch both, but not everyone plays both. They're bringing out like really good painting videos, and then the animations that have started. So there's 3 episodes of one of the series that are up right now, and then there's 1 episode of another series, and they're releasing one of them a week. And then right now you also get access to all of last year's White Dwarf digitally, and all of the
so
Warhammer
you do get
Vision.
The full year, because that was something that was a bit debatable.
Yeah, the full year's worth of White Dwarf and the Gathering Storm books. And you also get the app, which if you were paying for the app before,
I haven't got that yet.
You don't have to pay for that anymore because it's part of this. But the animations, I know I've watched them all. Matt, have you watched them all?
Yeah, I mean, I've watched them all like at least 3 times, all of them.
Yeah,
I've just been. They're just so good. That the Hammer and Bolter. When I started watching the first one, I can't, because anime and stuff like that, it isn't really my thing. But I started watching it, and the first couple of minutes, I was like, nah. And then I just got sucked into the storyline, and I was like, this is brilliant, because it's not the stuff you get on YouTube. It's different to all the stuff on YouTube, and the storylines were great. Yeah. And for me, Old Bailey about Commissar Yarrick was like, when I watched that last night, when I got home from the pub, I like lost my shit. I watched it 4 times, 3 times in a row.
How drunk were you?
Not that bad, but I watched it 3 times in a row, like not even a break between them. And I've watched it 3 times this morning, today. I'm going to watch it again. It's so good. It's
I've got to admit, I was exactly
You'd love
the
it,
same.
Stoney.
Yeah.
You'd love it.
Really I was exactly the same. The animation started and I thought, this is a bit janky. It's gone for a kind of stylistic. Imagine like the original X-Men cartoons with like better color and resolution. Yeah, it's that real feeling. It's almost got the same backing track on one of them. You know,
Oh shit!
It's not like the highest quality 2D animation, but it hooks you in, and the story's great. There's one episode. I don't want to do spoilers for people who haven't watched. But there's one episode with assassins and inquisitors in, which is excellent. There's one that's just a really creepy, grimdark tale about Zeech and books and libraries. It's just set in a library. It's real, like, it's Necronomicon creepiness. And then there's the one that Matt loves, which is an orc telling stories about Commissar Yarrick to little orcs.
Nice.
Really good.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, to be honest with you,
really good.
Like, I mean, you say you dropped £50 for the year, and to be honest with you, if you are someone that's out there buying White Dwarfs and stuff, and you can't wait to read it next year's, like, I mean, there is value here, animation aside, because I know that is a bit of a controversial issue. But if you wanted the White Dwarfs, and you say you get those expansions as well, right? You get the rule sets. What was it? You get the app. You don't get the full codex for everything, but you get slightly more than if you were having the free app. So you still, if you buy a paper codex, you get a code, and then you get the electronic version still. That hasn't really changed. But in terms of value for other stuff,
It's great.
There is value here. Like you say, you get the £10 gift voucher and the miniatures. I know that's a bit of a false economy because you've already paid them money. And to be honest with you, this actually just kind of highlights how cheap this shit is for Games Workshop. If they're like, oh, we can give you, like, this shows you how much money they're making off of this stuff each year. If they could just be like, right, everyone that just gives us 50 quid and you can essentially have two free miniatures, £10 worth of credit, and all last year's fucking White Dwarfs. That's that's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, we've said before, like when people get annoyed with Games Workshop, they release products and they sell out and stuff like that. And we've said maybe they should just throw in a gift voucher because they can do that. It's all online. They don't have to print or make anything. And I wondered whether part of the reaction to throw in this voucher was a reaction.
I'll be honest with you. I'm a bit like, this is the kind of thing that I probably won't get. I'm not the kind of Games Workshop person that's going to be that interested in this. And from a purely skeptical point of view, that £10 gift voucher, that's your fucking money. They're just giving you back only to spend in their store. So it's not. Oh yeah,
But I wonder if they've just thrown it in because they had a lot of negative stuff over the last month.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Really, and it's so easy for them to just throw in.
I can definitely see, like, there's a lot here, and the animations are good. You guys are into game like this stuff, and you fucking love the animations. So if you are thinking about it, then it sounds like, don't listen to the naysayers online. If you want to do this, like, just jump on and like fucking.
They were really good because they weren't a battle scene. Like, everyone online is doing like animating of Space Marines fighting, whatever. But the storylines were just different. That book one was just there was no battle scene, but it was so 40k. It was a little bit grimdark, lovely touch of chaos, excellent. You wouldn't get that online because people would make a battle scene.
Have you watched the painting lesson video yet?
No.
Really, like, the production value. They've always kind of released this. You think like the Duncan Rhodes just sitting in a darkened room. So it's Louise Sugden doing it now, who does all those crazy like neon orcs. And when I saw her doing it, I thought, it's going to be a little bit too out there. She does all the bright colors. It's not going to be that applicable to the way I like to paint, but it's not. It was straight up. I watched the one on how to paint faces, and it was great. It started with like color theory, and she painted a face just in blue, red, and yellow to show the different color theory, and then went back in with the browns and added in the colors to like achieve that effect at the end. It's really like high level stuff, and the battle report really well produced as well. Like.
I've just been watching the animations.
You've just watched the same thing.
I've set it up on the Amazon Fire Stick, so I can watch it in the bedroom, or I can watch it on the sofa, and it's,
wherever I am, I can watch the same thing over and over
Warhammer
again.
Is now following me.
Watch it in the shower with my cock in my hand.
Oh my god!
Black Templars are back with a vengeance, back with fire, back with brimstone, back with weapons chained to their arms, and we've got some new rules for some new weapons and a new dude that's coming out for Black Templars. This looks like a Primaris guy. Is this a Primaris dude?
Yeah.
Black Templar Primaris.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about Black Templars a lot in the last episode if you want to know more, but the Codex definitely confirmed. In fact, it's the next one after the Orcs get their Codex, so November apparently. Confirmed that there will be new Primaris standard Black Templar models with 15-inch flamers. So what more could you want?
Can you remember when we got excited about 12-inch flamers?
Yeah.
Soon as it's going to be like 24-inch flamer. Yeah, 15 inches. Wow.
Happy days. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we talked about this in the last episode, but for me, this is what Warhammer needs right now. We need these religious guys with all their symbology and all the good old-fashioned grimdark shit. Yeah. So I'm happy to see this.
Some great chats online about the fact that his hand is literally over the flamer, though. So.
Oh yeah. That's the grill, though, isn't it? But he's going to get warm. Yeah. That is a bit odd.
It's a little bit of self-punishment as he flames the heretics.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really excited about seeing where they go with this. It'd definitely be buying some of them.
Yeah, and it's a supplement as well. We should probably mention it's not a completely separate codex.
No, so you have to play it with Space Marine.
You can play it with all the Space Marine rules as well, just like any other chapter, which is useful if you're playing competitively.
Well, still new models. That's
that's
a lot more than a lot of factions can say for their supplements. So yeah, good stuff. So Tyranid players have been waiting like Christmas to get their hands on some new rules, and our local Tyranid player Welshie, I believe you're happy to announce finally there's been some delicious new rules for some of our favorite 40k bugs. So what's going down?
Well, it's a little bit bittersweet, I guess, like eating some kind of biliary duct. We've been waiting for new rules for a long time. Everyone's been hoping for the full Tyranid Codex release, a full set of new rules. And Games Workshop have just kind of said, oh, we're just going to give you a few rules in one of the new Warzone books.
Oh.
Which indicates to us all online that our Codex might be even longer off than we initially thought. Which is sad. Or they're going to do the other annoying thing, like they did with the AdMech, and release a load of new rules, and then like 2 weeks later release the Codex. But that's all the negative side of things. The positive side of things is we're getting some new rules. So
all right. Well, okay. Well, tell us about the rules first before we talk about any Tyranid stuff.
Well, it's all just the previews. We've only got 2 things that we've seen, but there's going to be a new mechanism. Like we've said with all of the codexes as they're being released, some of your special characters, you're going to be able to pay some more points to make them better. So Space Marines, you can turn a chaplain into a Master of Sanctity for a few more points and he gets some extra rules, etc., etc. So the same thing's happening with Tyranids, and they're called synaptic links. So any of your synapse creatures, by the looks of things, are going to get, or synapse HQs, you're going to be able to spend some more points on them before the game and get some new rules. And it seems like the synapse rules overall are also changing. So people that have played against Tyranids or played as Tyranids will know that synapse is like rules bubble. So your big brainy creatures connected to the hive mind kind of boost things that are around them, the smaller creatures. But what's different with these new synaptic links is the synapse creatures kind of all connect up together. So the rules that are coming from one brood lord give him a 12-inch bubble. But if there's another synapse creature within 12 of him, that one gets a 12-inch bubble, like a daisy chain.
Okay.
So you can daisy chain the synaptic link. So if you've got a neurothrope and a brood lord, you can use both of their powers in both of their bubbles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Which is cool, very thematic, I think. Cool. I don't know how well it work. It's hard. It'd be hard to keep track of. It's a nice idea. Maybe that's why they're putting it out in this little bit rather than the full codex.
It is very cool. Do you think this kind of like this drip feeding and the kind of this, because at the moment it feels like they're kind of keeping Tyranids on sort of life support, they're just drip feeding them enough rules to keep them going, keep them mildly competitive at least. But like not really kind of dropping anything major. Like you say, the Codex has been waited for ages. Do you think that maybe these guys could be a big model redo as well? They're definitely due it, like the Necrons, or like we keep talking about with the Tau as well, as like a potential just complete set's gone. Here's the new range.
I don't think so, personally. I think there's not much on the Tyranid groups and stuff that I'm on. There's not much call for a complete revamp. I think most people like most of the models. And as a Horde army, I can't think of anything worse, especially having just painted 20 Termagants to have a full army re-release have to rebase everything to 32 mil. There's definitely some things that the army's missing that we could get. I just want a codex more than models, to be honest. I don't know, like these rules are going to be quite good. The Broodlord's Mastery of Shadows one, if you're within 12 inches of it and 12 inches away, you're getting +1 cover save, +1 save to melee, and -1 to hit, which you can potentially daisy chain across every troop in your entire army as you move up the board. So I think this can be played well competitively. And it might give, like you say, a little bit of drip feed of competitive love back to the Nids, but just bring us out the whole fucking codex. Why are Games Workshop writing war zones when they could be writing codices? I don't get it.
Yeah, money.
Konrad Curze was meant to be the Emperor's judge.
He's done tootin' and judging.
I never done met a fairer boy in my life. But when he was left alone to fend for himself on a planet of murderers and criminals, something broke inside of him. And the Emperor's sweet baby boy and voice of justice turned to the dark side. I'm evil now. Let's find out now in Making of the Murderer, Konrad Curze edition.
Curze's madness was on display from the very moment that the Emperor came down and reclaimed him from Nocturna. I remember it like it was yesterday. Curze wouldn't even accept his name, only the one that was given to him by his people. His true name, that of Nightbringer.
Be at peace, Konrad Curze. I have arrived, and I intend to take you home.
That is not my name, father. My people gave me a name, and I will bear it until my dying day. My name is Nighthaunter, and I know full well what you intend for me.
So there we have it, the Nighthaunter, Konrad Curze, the twisted one, the twisted melon that is the dark edgelord of the 40k universe. But is he more than just a dark, twisted edgelord? After doing a bit of research, I think we here at the Large Blast podcast can say, yes, he is. What we got to say about Curze? I mean, he comes down, he lands on Nostromo.
Yeah, I mean, that his early days, I guess, is what we're kind of talking about here, his upbringing. He's landed on essentially a planet of criminals, right? The planet is entirely mafia, and he's a child on a planet run entirely by murder and crime.
I mean, that's it. He's sort of left to fend for himself in one of the... I mean, out of all the primarchs landing on their planets, this is one of the shitter ones to land on, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And he has to resort to cannibalism in his early days.
And
like most people know, obviously, like if you've listened to any of our other episodes or just read any of the lore, you probably know that if a space marine, especially a primarch, eats someone, they get their memories. So if you're over there chilling in Nostromo with a bunch of thieves and rapists and you're eating these guys and you're a little kid, you ain't getting memories of you sitting on Uncle Joe's knee having a good old whatever, riding a bike or some shit. You're over getting some bad memories of you sitting on Uncle Joe's knee. You know, it's the opposite. So you know, he's pretty fucked up.
And then to make
fucked up pretty early.
Even worse, like his Primarch power is visions of the future. So mixed in with all of the hideous day-to-day of his surroundings and his horrible memories of terror and rape that he absorbs from the people he's having to eat to survive, he's also getting glimpses of a future of endless war and horror and demons. And
definitely. I think that's another quite interesting thing about him because, you know, they say like, oh, the Emperor, like, each one of the Primarchs was kind of made as like to perform a sort of a role or be like an ideal of something. They say like, like Curze was supposed to be like justice and like he's supposed to be like the most just guy ever who could like sort of be like the most fair judge of all of the Primarchs or whatever. But then as soon as obviously he's like let loose on Nostromo, like it all becomes twisted and all fucked up, and he gets this weird sense of, like you say, seeing the future.
Doesn't he? He starts all right on Nostromo, doesn't he? Isn't he fighting for? He starts fighting for justice, and then he just slowly turns into the Nighthaunter.
Well, that's it. I think his early days is his life is kind of run by fear, and he realizes that that's where he kind of forms this idea that scaring people into submission is the best way to control things. But whilst we were investigating some of his early years, we actually talked to one of his brothers who had another horrible upbringing in the shadows.
5 minutes with my murderous snake-tongued brother may have you feeling compassion towards him, sorrow perhaps, moving beyond morality with cold logic to conclude that Konrad is an unavoidable product of his environment, a devil begat by the night of Nostromo. But I too was born of shadow, left alone to fight for survival in the depths. Yet here I deliver populations from tyrannical control, whereas he uses terror to plunge them back into it.
So that's some words from Korax there.
Well, yeah, I mean, that does bust this case wide open, if I'm being honest with you. And you've got to ask yourself, really, I mean, Konrad Curze, he talks about justice. He talks about all this stuff he's doing, being the Night Haunter and that, but he loves killing. That's the main thing. All the time he's trying to justify his killing with all this justice nonsense and all the rest of it. It's funny because one of the things is, I used to think of Konrad Curze as quite a two-dimensional character in a way. You know, he was the kind of Night Lord or whatever. I always thought like, oh, he was the one that was destined to fall from the very beginning. It was that like the Emperor should have been like, oh yeah, this guy's basically, you know, already turned to chaos. And that's kind of true. Like, because it wasn't even in a way chaos that corrupted him. It was his own madness, his own kind of like he kind of everything he did to himself in many ways.
I don't think he's that bad. I don't think it's that. I think you're jumping to a conclusion. I think I'm going in with an open mind. His brother told us. Well, his brother warned us, but he's got loads of other brothers who I think are dodgier than he is. They all want to kill people. They all kill people.
I think that he is
the wolf. I feel like is more mad than he is.
Well, it's funny you mention that because the wolf actually has a few opinions we've got on him as well.
I'd be interested to know what he thinks.
Even in the darkest sagas of Fenris, there are no tales of beasts which fight with the depravity of mind brooder. Like vermin that believes itself to be backed into a corner by the weave of fate, yet cannot see the escape of tapestry that surrounds it.
So there's Russ. You think he's a bit of an animal, but even Russ understands maybe Corax is just an animal backed into a corner, Matt. Is that what you're saying? That he's just trying to fight to survive. He's not that bad.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. There's definitely an element of that. He was definitely, like the whole point of becoming the Night Haunter was to try to bring justice, and in many ways he kind of did through fear. But you've got to look at also the way he did it, and also how much he enjoyed it. He even says that he enjoys it in the Konrad Curze book, I believe. I think that's one of the interesting things about him is this juxtaposition between him, like he wants to. There's the primarch side of him where he's like, oh, I want to do right and I want to do like the justice and stuff. And then there's the side of him that came up on the streets and was mad and believed in all these visions and stuff. That enjoys killing and it sort of likes the Night Haunter a bit. Like I've recently read the Konrad Curze book as recommended by Welshie here. I thought it was pretty good actually. And there's a bit in there where he's talking about how he kills a woman on Nostromo for trying to commit suicide. And it's kind of like obviously she's trying to commit suicide, she's going to die, but suicide's against the law. So he kills her and tortures her to death in a way more painful than suicide. So it's obviously not the death or the the justice side of thing that really matters to him at the end of the day. The thing that he really enjoys doing is killing people and wearing their flesh and doing all the mad stuff. So, there is this thing was he corrupted from the beginning? There's this juxtaposition from it in a way that I think is maybe more interesting than some of the others, because a lot of the primarchs, especially the ones that fall, have this going on.
That bit in the book about the woman committing suicide, that is so dark. He talks to her and he starts talking to her in such a nice way, such a polite way, explaining that, he's there to do justice and what she's doing is wrong. And he's terribly sorry about having to do it. And that's what he's there for. And then on the flip of a coin, it goes from, I'm going to have to, you think, oh, he's just going to kill her. Nice, cool. All right. There's rules. He's trying to stick to the rules. And then it becomes, like you say, I'm going to kill you way more slowly than you would have done.
Ever experienced ever or whatever. Yeah. It's just for fuck's sake, man. She was trying to check out nice and quick, and then he's jumping in on that.
We did actually intercept, as part of this investigation, some chatter from the warp from a demon, perhaps describing how there may have been a bit of split personality going on with old Konrad Curze.
He always knew that he was two men. One was just and righteous, whilst the other, the other had felt the kiss of chaos all its life. One thrived on focus, the other ate fear.
So, was he touched by chaos early
there
on?
you go. I think that proves it. He was touched by chaos his whole life. He was always, his entire life, and he makes allusions to that. Well, I mean, obviously, he kind of believes in a sort of a fate which may or may not be unbreakable. It's but he certainly lived out his fate as he saw it.
That's coming up more and more in the books, and as we progress towards the big secrets and reveals of the end of Siege of Terror, the idea that, and I think it's fairly accepted that the Emperor and science wasn't the only thing behind the primarchs, and in order to make the primarchs, they were all infused with a little bit of chaos to some point.
Yeah.
The Latch Blast podcast was always talking shit about Curze.
I don't think he's that bad.
He has a small dick and it smells.
So dark.
But that's just because they didn't know the truth of the matter. They never really sat down and listened to what old Curze had to say.
These humans, you see, their imaginations are strong. Kill 1,000 men and they will hate you. Kill 1,000,000 men and they will queue to face you. But kill a single man and they will see monsters and devils in every shadow. Kill 12 men and they will scream and wail in the night. They will feel fear, not hatred. This is the way of obedience, my sons. They are panicky, gossiping beasts, these humans. It serves us to allow them to be so.
So you see, even though Curze might have done some crazy things, he was just trying to keep order in a crazy world.
So that's his view of warfare.
When I listen to that, he sounds a bit like a tyrant, and I just wondered, like a dictatorial tyrant, and I wondered whether that was also maybe an element of the Emperor that he got is like a space Stalin. The tactics do work, but
he's like Hitler Batman.
Yeah. Does he have a moustache?
I've got images now of old Adolf Linkler from Hitler and Batman.
But the thing is he's got this weird kind of morality. Like, you're right, he is a complete despot, and and the tactics he uses are completely despotic, but he's got this weird kind of morality about him at the same time. Like, even at the very end, there's a section where he's he goes out and he exterminates Nostramo because he doesn't like the fact that the recruits they're getting from there are criminals that are more into hurting people rather than bringing justice through fear. Yeah. So there is this weird morality with him, even at the very end, when just before he dies. So there's this. It's very strange. He, like I say, I don't feel like he was ever really properly corrupted by chaos. I think he was mad from the outset in a way. So
I agree. I think he has that. There's a real purpose, but then there is a point where it shifts. Like you say, he's one of the first people to kill a space marine in the entire history, like on Imperium death, because he kills them for doing wrong, for murder, because they go, and he's like, because they're sending him psychopaths. Essentially, the Legion is made up of psychopaths, and he wants to do something about it. And he always wants to make it work, even when the best conversations with him and his brother, because all of the brothers pretty much hate him. There's some pity him and some most hate him. But the points that he's making are always, I don't do the terror because I could do the terror because I can kill 5 people and have a whole planet subjugated to the Emperor, whereas you'll go to war for 20 years and kill 1 billion people. Why is your way of warfare any better than mine?
It's a classic argument of nature or nurture. Like his nature is the Emperor's judge, and that's his morality. Like, is almost built into him by the Emperor using whatever means that he used. And then his nurture, he just happened to land on like one of the worst planets he could have landed on, and that's kind of that's almost his two aspects to him, the 2 personalities, his nature and his nurture. And most of the time towards the end of his life, the nurture won through, where he grew up in this horrible world.
That's always the problem with all this justice stuff, all the things he says, all the things he claims, is at the end of the day, he loves torturing, skinning and killing people. He gets a kick out of it. And that is, at the end of the day, always going to be the problem with the person that's supposed to be the judge, jury and executioner, you know?
He's right on that line of the psychopath, isn't it? Because he is judge and jury until he spins out in a vision, doesn't he, and kills someone who's innocent for the first time at one of the early phases in his life. Yeah, and then that's like it. Whenever you watch one, you see, they've been on the brink of murder. Now they've done a murder, and suddenly you've got bits of body parts in cupboards, or you're like chewing up flesh and building sculptures of the emperor.
Yeah.
There's a fulcrum, and he's right on the tightrope, and then falls very hard.
But something you just said, Stoney, how could he ever be good? If you're a judge and you're like, how would this ever end well? Like, this was never going to end well. This character that the Emperor created was never going to be a good guy.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to answer for there, but the Emperor isn't looking at it like that. He's not interested in good or bad guys, as we say. He's interested in people that can win in planets. And even one of the brothers that hates him the most had a little bit something to say on his ability to win planets. This is Rogel Dawn.
There is a perception amongst the analysts and warmongers of this galaxy that my brother Perturabo is the Lord of Siege, laying waste to any fortress that sits before him, bringing the strongest defence to naught but rubble. But they are wrong, for even the most perfect of structures hide cracks into which fear can seep and poison the will of men to defend. My brother Konrad knows this all too well, and to him I have seen strongholds fall without the slightest crumble of stone.
There we are. Even old man Dawn himself respects that there is some place in warfare for someone like him, even if he'd never crossed that line himself. Is he a necessary evil to the Imperium?
Well, he certainly sees himself as that. He does this stuff and sort of outwardly pretends at least not to enjoy it, and for it to be a kind of a stoic task.
Yeah, but he does see himself as that. Like, there's plenty of conversations with the Emperor where he says, you know, you created me because you need me. I do the things no one else is going to do. And that's a necessity.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and he even kind of obviously Corax and him sort of hate. Well, Corax definitely hates him. I don't know. You know, he
never admits it though. No, he's always like, he's always like, oh, I don't really hate him, but he does. Just kind of Corax hates him.
Standoffish and doesn't invite him to stuff and things like that. Yeah, but and Corax's ways are kind of similar, sort of terror-y tactics, but without adopting the kind of skinning and killing and just horror side of things. So I don't know. I mean, who's more effective out of Curze and Corax? I guess they've got similar tactics, just without the kind of bloodshed. They both play their roles, I suppose.
I think that's why the meetings between them are always really good. In that Nighthorn book that you've just read, there's a great bit, isn't there, where Corax just appears from shadow, and even Curze doesn't really sense that he's there, but they're surrounded because Corax is like, you've just murdered loads of people for no reason. And they have a real standoff, and it's excellent. And I think Curze also hates him because Corax can literally become shadow. Like, he can literally disappear into blackness. Whereas Curze is the blackness, but isn't. Like, he's being one-upped by Corax in that. Like, he's the shadow in the darkness, not the darkness itself.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of, I mean, you know, Curze is kind of a lonely guy, really. So anyone that he kind of sympathizes with, he kind of develops a weird issue towards, you know. So like Curze, it's like, you know, Corax, he kind of is like, oh, wow, this guy's a little bit like me, but he's got his shit so together. It's like one of those guys. Have you got one of those friends where it's like, you know, when you were 25, this guy already had like a mortgage and a car. You're like, shit, we're like the same age or whatever. That's kind of like, you know, this guy to Curze, like that's his Korax is the guy that every time you got promoted at work and you thought you were doing well, and there was that one mate that had just been like, promoted to boss and had bought like a Ferrari. You're just like, oh shit, and that's his Korax, you know.
Yeah, I agree on that one. But there are brothers that do kind of get closer to it. I mean, even after he goes on the rampages, you know, Nostramo's destroyed. He's run rampant through Macragge, just flipping land raiders with one arm, tearing storm ravens out the sky. He's fought the lion on like tramps. We've got to remember this guy. We did the Primarch battles, and I don't know how far Curze placed up there, but when we were reading through all this history, like he's legitimately stabbed the lion. He's stabbed Guilliman.
Yeah.
He's killed Vulcan like 30 times. He's a monster, like in a fight.
I mean, the thing with Vulcan is horrific. It's horrendous. It's his brother.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, like 30 times endlessly. I mean, how it goes on for like months, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When he's in that prison, like
he's got him in like a saw
fucking
maze.
mental.
It's like he's not just killing him; he's making him choose. It's like, can he hold the roof up to save himself, or does he have to hold the roof up to save the people and he'll die? It's all of this. Like it is proper saw in that ship that he contains Vulcan on.
No, for sure. And he only ends up dying because he lets himself die. He sees it as fate, so he just lets an assassin kill him at the end. He doesn't get slain by anyone special or anything.
Well, we've got the actual recording from that last moments in there, so we can see, you know, whether we still pity him even at the end.
No way!
Your presence does not surprise me, assassin. I've known of you ever since your craft entered the eastern fringes. Why did I not have you killed? Well, because your mission and the act that you are about to commit proves the truth of all I have ever said and all I have ever done. I merely punished those who had wronged, just as your false emperor now seeks to punish me. Death is nothing compared to vindication.
Death is nothing compared to vindication. He sees his death that he's foresaw for like decades as it's just proven him right. The fact that the Emperor's come to kill him has proven him right, that he couldn't have strayed from the path of fate, but he could have done so many times.
I mean, Konrad Curze is convinced that his fate is sealed and that the Emperor has kind of known about it forever, and that the Emperor is essentially knew about chaos from the very beginning, and that basically had a similar kind of thing going on to him, really, isn't he? That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I think he's possibly is always hinted at that the other big players like Magnus finds out that the Emperor's been hiding all these secrets, and that's like a massive crux point in the heresy. Lorgar goes to the extremes of the galaxy to find out that the Chaos Gods exist, etc. But the implication is that Curze knows from like the first time he speaks to the Emperor that there's all of this stuff hiding, but he's not going to tell anyone about it. There's loads of bits where he's talking with the other ones that are actively trying to find out, and he's just laughing like, I know all this, but I'm not going to let you know about it.
I mean, he has the visions, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, like, is that an element of the Emperor as well? Like the Emperor's ability to see the future, and he's got, is that like one of his main things he inherits from the Emperor?
I think so, but he's not the only one with that, is he? Like Sanguinius sees it as well. I think that's a really.
He's one of the interesting things is. In the Night Horror book, the Emperor ends up appearing to him through the flesh sculpture that he's been making. And what's quite interesting is that he basically tells him that that fate is like a library, and that all Curze chose to do was read one book in the library. So he didn't focus. There was a million different outcomes to what he could have could have outcome for Curze, and he ended up focusing on the one that he had in his vision and not being able to fulfill anything else. And in a way that fulfilling of fate became, like, after a while it became the thing that he had to believe in, because he got so deep he couldn't not. He always kind of has this element of self-doubt, I think, about this fate thing.
And he even he doubts himself when the flesh. If you haven't read this book, most of the book is narrated by him, and he's building a sculpture of the Emperor out of flesh and talking to it as if you're the sculpture. And then at the very last minute, the sculpture talks back. But even then, he doubts himself, doesn't he? Because there is that doubt. Yeah. He's just so conflicted. He's just like an absolute knot of acceptance.
That's right. And there's a crew member. I forgot what is Elva.
Yeah.
In the book, that ends up kind of becoming his friend for a little while, at least a short period of time.
More like a pet.
More like a pet, I guess. Yeah. But the minute that Elva kind of realizes that Curze doesn't believe his own bullshit, Curze has him killed. Like, there's just this kind of like little glance between them where he's like, I don't think that you believe yourself. It's like, that guy's done, So
yeah. I think that acceptance, because there's, like we said before, Sanguinius also foresaw his death, but unlike focusing on just the death, he tried to do stuff beforehand. So we've actually got some audio of what he thought about his own death.
I have a complexity of feeling towards my revenant brother Konrad, awe as to the poetic majesty of the light that evolves from his darkness, love as to answer the crying child, but mostly pity. Pity from an understanding of how vision of the future can corrupt the present. But whereas I was elevated by images of light and beauty in the final moments of my death, he was haunted only by blackness and monstrosity.
You're right. I mean, that's quite interesting. He didn't sound at all what I thought he would sound like.
Very angelic, I thought.
Yeah.
Real angel.
But he does. It completely dominates his life, the visions of his death. Whereas Sanguinius, it just doesn't. It just doesn't.
He sees it, but he knows. He sees it as I'm going to die in this way, and I need to do everything I can to be amazing beforehand. In light of the Emperor. Whereas Curze is, I'm going to die. That's shit. Let's just do whatever the fuck I want. They're the two, I'm sure Eastern religions have got stuff to say on acceptance of death that goes down those two pathways.
Yeah.
So guys, what do we really think about him? Like, if we were convicting him, I guess this debate really does come down to nature or nurture. His belief was that he couldn't change anything. Do we believe that he could? And who is at fault?
Well, that's an interesting one, isn't it? For me, I think there's a lot of similarities here between we've already done the trial of Magnus the Red.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
And Magnus was kind of tricked into making a decision or what have you. And one of the things that for me, I kind of think of Curze as a more sympathetic character to Magnus in many ways, but I think that that's mostly because the question we were asking with Magnus did Magnus do anything wrong? Whereas with Curze, we're saying, why did Curze do so much stuff wrong? You know what I mean? And it's kind of like Curze was broken from the very beginning. He never stood a chance, so that no one's arguing the fact that Curze was ever right in a way. Supposed to be a judge, became Hitler Batman,
Yeah. I feel like my conclusion is the same. That I believe that it's nurture, and that therefore, actually, I think it goes back to the Emperor, and that the Emperor fucked up, and the Emperor is the baddie here. He let the forces of chaos make all the primarchs fly through the air, and he ended up on Nostramo, which is the worst place this guy could have ended up on. And he shouldn't have made him a judge in the first place. What the fuck's he doing? The Emperor should be on trial.
I agree, because we're talking nature or nurture, and the Emperor is responsible for both in this case.
Yeah,
he's responsible for the nature. He literally designed it, if we ignore the fact that there might be chaos, and he didn't intervene with the nurture when he really could have done.
Yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think we're all in fair agreement about Curze, but what do we think about Curze's accusations towards the Emperor then, that he knew from the outset that this would happen and that he is touched by chaos himself, and that maybe he's made some kind of unholy pact with the Dark Lords himself?
I think there's a reasonable amount of truth in that. I wouldn't go so far as saying what I've said before, which was the Emperor is the fifth chaos god. I don't think that's necessarily true, but he's definitely.
Ooh, that's an official Large Blast podcast flip flop, right?
That's a retraction, official retraction.
But I mean, the accusation that he makes, that Curze makes to the Emperor, are based in truth. Yeah, the Emperor's own judge has come and he's judged the Emperor himself, and he's found him wanting. He's found him guilty of being a dick.
Why don't we finish then on a little recording that we managed to gain of how Curze treats his sons, what he did in the last moment before he decided to meet his eventual end.
My sons, the galaxy is burning. We all bear witness to a final truth. Our way is not the way of the Imperium. You have never stood in the Emperor's light, never worn the Imperial Eagle, and you never will. You shall stand in midnight clad, your claws forever red with the lifeblood of my father's failed empire, warring through the centuries as the talons of a murdered god. Rise, my sons, and take your wrath across the stars. In my name, in my memory, rise, my Night Lords.
So obviously they're primarchless now, guys, sent off to wreak havoc. What do we feel about the Night Lords just as a general legion in 40k today?
I mean, they do obviously in 30k, the people that their terror tactics, everyone's afraid of them. People almost surrender before they even arrive. I'm sure that's this legion, where they hear that they're coming, they're being sent to a particular war zone, and everyone just gives up. Which is like almost the best tactic, because they don't even have to fucking fight. I mean, what an amazing legion. But I don't know if that still is true in 40k, because in 40k, the Imperium populace, they don't even believe in Chaos Space Marines, so they wouldn't know.
You're competing against a lot of other things that want to kill you.
Well, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? It's like Dark Eldar, they're out there doing a similar kind of thing. I'm sure getting digested slowly by a Tyranid ain't fun, you know. Whatever it is, there's a lot of shitty ways to die in 40k, as you might know if you've listened to our Shit Ways to Die episode.
I think you're right though, Matt. Like, I forget lots that most people have never even seen a Space Marine, let alone a Chaos Space Marine, or even know of their existence. One of the Aaron Dembski Bowden books just starts with like a merchant fleet. They're just on the way. They're just a ship on the way to sell some stuff, and a ship turns up and hails them and starts saying really creepy things to them, and then boards their ship, and they're like, "What the hell's going on?" And it's like a war band of Night Lords that just walk in and start like ripping them to shreds. And they're like, "What the hell's happened?" Like they were just off to sell some goats or some ox or whatever, and suddenly they've been boarded by the Night Lords, and they just don't know what to think about it.
I guess that's the thing, is in 30k when they were like, because out of all the legions before they became corrupted, anything like that, if you had to live under one of their like, you know, reigns, whatever, one of the primarchs, being under the Night Lords would still be one of the shittest ones to be under. So I can see that back in 30k days, they were big news. People were scared of that. This was like Y2K, you know, the millennium virus, the millennium bug, or whatever that was going to happen. Everyone was fucking shit scared of it after they fell. You know, they're just another thing on the list of bullshit that's going to like kill you, I guess. In the year 40,000 at least, Cadia has been blown up. Everything's gone to tits. Blackstone's flying around. Necrons, we didn't even have them in 30k.
Yeah,
you know, everything's gone fucked. It's all tits up. So maybe they're just another one on the list of things to worry about.
Dressed as an Avenged Sevenfold cover doesn't quite cut it in the year 40k.
That is very true. That's such a weird link, isn't it? And the Batman link as well. It just the Avenged Sevenfold. There's
a real Batman link. When the lion finally catches him, he breaks him over his knee in like complete Bane style. Like the reversal of Bane. Full snaps his back and then hangs him up in his ship.
I hope someone got sued for that one.
I just remembered. I wrote a note earlier in the week that I wanted to suggest to you. Is that actually Konrad Curze is the savior of the Imperium.
Okay, tell me more.
So Curze has a vision, as we've discussed. He has a vision of himself being killed by an assassin sent by the Emperor. And as we've alluded to, he has lots of fights with the Lion, because he ends up on the Lion's flagship. He then ends up on Macragge, which is the center world of the Imperium Secundus. So Sanguinius is the emperor of this new Imperium that Guilliman has set up with the Ultramarine Legion. And they, through various story arcs, they all realize that Curze has these visions of being killed by an assassin sent by the Emperor. So they realize that the Emperor is actually alive on Earth still, and that they should really try to get back there because he's still alive. So they pack in the Imperium Secundus and they go back to Terra. Which
they use him, don't they?
helps.
They go to him on the ship and ask him to like tell them visions, like a kind of soothsayer. They've got him chained up, and there's the three of them, Sanguinius and the Lion and Gilliman, like, oh, tell us some of your visions while you're all chained up, Konrad.
So if he hadn't had the vision and hadn't told them, then Sanguinius wouldn't have been there on the bridge of I can't remember the ship, of Horus's ship, to die first and potentially save the Emperor, and therefore save the Imperium.
Well, for sure. I mean, that's we talk about this juxtaposition in Curze, and that's one of the weird things. Is to the end, he wants to use his visions as a way to save people, and even to the end, he kind of loves the Emperor. He's just got these like horribly twisted daddy issues where he's never really been shown love or care, and like just fucks it all up like you'd be like, oh, I bought you this box of chocolates, Konrad Curze. Oh, I skinned your leg. That's kind of the trade-off that you get when you're in a friendship with him.
Yeah, I think that stuff's quite interesting, Matt. I think that kind of Curze in captivity.
Yeah,
and he just runs like he's got kind of weirdest ending, and he just after that just kind of gets shot into space in a capsule. Like no one, he's done everything so wrong, but no one can kill him. Like no one will kill him, and they pass judgment on him. And Sanguinius is like, no, I still can't kill you, despite everything you've done. You didn't help. Everything's gone to shit. I'm just going to put you in a little box and fire you into space forever. I'm sure no one will stumble across you like fucking Jumanji. If only Sanguinius had watched Jumanji, he'd know what a bad idea that
Evil
was.
Him out into space.
Yeah.
Who does anyone remember what esteemed actor we have playing him in our 30k Horus Heresy movie?
I don't. Who did we pick?
Was it Christian Bale?
Oh, I think we did say
maybe.
Bale because we went full skinny
Batman.
Bale.
Who would we cast if we were going to cast the 40k movie now? If we were going to cast the Nightbringer book, who would we cast as Curze? I think I said this before, but I always think Wesley Snipes would be a good Konrad Curze.
He's not. He's got to be like completely pale though. He can't have Wesley Snipes.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the whole thing is that he's like looks like a
we'll white him
dead
up.
white
We'll
body.
give him white face Wesley Snipes. That's Konrad Curze. Get a wig on him, white face, and file his teeth down. Because everyone knows Wesley Snipes hates the law as well. He's always getting in trouble for like smoking weed and being like, "I'm Blade, leave me alone. Justice. This is Blade's justice. I want to smoke weed and not pay taxes."
His voice would
and
be
rightly
good.
so.
I can see the voice.
I stand by him.
You know what was with on films and stuff? You know why he's called Konrad Curze? Did you guys read this in the fun fact section?
No.
That based on a character in the Heart of Darkness book, which is set.
Oh, sorry, this is real life.
This is real life.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to know about more the real life Games Workshop story.
Yeah.
Go on.
It comes from I think the book's called In the Heart of Darkness. It's set this kind of general goes mad in the African jungle, which is what Apocalypse Now
and
is
it's written
based on.
by Joseph Conrad.
Oh right.
And
Apocalypse Now,
the main character in it, his surname's Kurtz, and they think the rumor is that he's called Konrad Kurtz for that reason.
General Curze, and it's written by Joseph Conrad. So Konrad
Curze,
I guess.
And then it was the basis of the rewrite for Apocalypse Now, which is why apparently the assassin that goes to kill him is called M. Shen, because Martin Sheen is the assassin that kills him in Apocalypse Now. Yeah, so
hang on. The remake of Apocalypse Now.
No,
Apocalypse Now is based on Heart of Darkness.
Yeah,
I think it might even be called like Apocalypse Now, quote unquote, Heart of Darkness.
Oh right, I thought you said remake.
The rewrite of Heart of Darkness into Apocalypse Now.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah.
That's some classic kind of Inspector Clouseau.
I didn't even make that connection until we just talked about it.
Yeah, M. Shen.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Just another story of deceit, heartbreak, and hard times in the year 40,000. Really makes you think, doesn't it? Maybe Curze could have been saved with a bit of love and nourishment, or maybe his fate really was predetermined. Just like the old saying goes, the game was fixed for the start. At least it was for Curze, one way or another.
Welcome back, everybody, to the most exciting part of the show where Lady Luck chooses a subject through the art of the dice roll. You're all familiar with it. You all know what it is. Welshie, do you have the company dice?
Of course.
Okay, 1 to 6. Let's see what it's going to be. We've got many a topic on the way.
It's a 3. We've talked about some of the crazy adornments on the armor of the Night Lords. But who really has the most stupid appendages on their armor? Chaos or Standard Marines?
Chaos or Standard Marines?
I'm going to go straight in. I went to the Dice Saloon earlier today as I was in town, and I was looking at the nice model display that they have there. Some really, really well painted models. We've spoken about Axel's Iron Warriors before, but there's a custodian force there, and they always catch my eye. But their armor, I think,
it's impractical, isn't it?
Yeah, it's completely impractical. I think it's looks good in the artwork, but I think it's impractical.
Too many lions.
Absolutely.
Too many carvings.
And if you'll remember from the "How much does it cost" episode, you'll remember it costs like 4 trillion quid or something like that.
Yeah. For me, it's the Space Marine Legions with the stupid bits on their hats. So the Night Lords have got the red wings, but they're quite stumpy, those red wings. It's the fucking Dark Angels, old Azrael or Master Lazarus with like 4-foot bits. You're not going to hide from a sniper behind a small wall.
But
can you imagine if
the benefit of that is if you jump off a tall building, you can inspect a gadget style down to the bottom. You've basically got a
maybe that's why they have them
on your head. I mean, I feel like we've got to talk a little bit about the book situation.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We've talked about it many a time before, how these Space Marines coming into battle with a bunch of books when that could be space used for guns or ammo or something. A medical kit, anything like other than a fucking book. Like, surely that's got to be the most useless appendage, right?
I don't know.
I guess they're also coming in armed only with their faith, and where do they get that? Through books. So maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah. The Grey Knights, they have their power armor and Terminator armor. They all have a book on their breastplate. Is a book, but they have a book because they write in there demons' true names, so that when they face a demon, they can like pop out this book. And kind of flick through the pages like a yellow pages.
Oh, hang on, Demon. I've just got to go to the
I've just got
page 29. Oh.
Yeah.
Hold up. No.
I don't know how they know. I don't know how they know.
Oh shit! I forgot the name purifier. I've just set myself on fire, and now my book's disintegrated. I can't find your name. Yeah. What a stupid system!
Exactly. This is another large blast podcast flip flop right here, Matt. Because everybody knows that you are against books in Warhammer, and now
I'm not. No, I'm not.
What do you mean you're not against books in Warhammer? Come on, Welshie, you know that this is a flip flop, right?
No, I'm against books when people stand on them unnecessarily. Strap them to your armor. Right. Don't stand on them. A book is not a stool.
What if it's not a Cuban heel?
It's not a Cuban heel. Get off it. Read it.
You're like a 4'5" space marine. You need a little help, you know.
Like a ratling space marine. Why can't ratlings be space marines? Why don't they just make Ogrins into space marines? Why don't they just they could make 15-foot space marines?
That's true. Ogrins don't have a good enough brain, though.
Yeah, but you could just put a computer in it, couldn't you? Like a AdMech toaster.
We've gone off topic here.
Yeah.
And what's pulled me back is I'm staring here. We've talked about shoulder pads before at one point on this, just that they're stupid. But I'm looking across here at my Death Watch on the side here. Now, the Death Watch have got an extra rim on top of their shoulder pad. And I've just noticed that not a single person in my Death Watch army can see left, because the extra rim is above the height of their eyes. They can see over one shoulder, but not the other. So
that's up on the left of the Death Watch. That's it. And you pretty much can get away with anything.
Yeah.
Wow. That's tactics advice there.
All right. Okay. So we've talked about the books and kind of defended the books. The shoulder pads, I guess more metal the merrier, even if it does mean you can't see. You're like a blinkered horse on one side. But what about the egg timers, the hourglasses?
Yeah.
You see some space marines with hourglasses. What is that going to do for you?
What are they made of?
Cortez has one, doesn't he? On his model, I think.
Yeah.
Well, what are they for?
I don't know. Sands of time.
Apart from telling the time.
Just to kind of look like the Undertaker in a WWF match or whatever, where you come out and look scary and be like, "Time's up, motherfucker."
Yeah. Or
there's probably an answer to this because it's on enough models. There must be a reason they've got. We'll look it up for next episode. Tune in next episode, guys, for why there's egg timers. Well, solved. Another one down, I think. I mean, I don't even know what we were solving there. We were more just discussing. Get rid of them.
I think egg timers is the most useless appendage from what we decided.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would.
Hourglass egg
agree.
timer. I don't know.
Black Templars, maybe they're using them, like you say, to cook, but to cook heretics. Yeah. Oh, we're going to set this guy on fire for 3 egg timers. So we know he's well done.
Like if you're cooking with them, they suddenly become quite useful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. In fact, you know what? The Black Templars, if you were a bit of a gastronomicon, the
gastronomicon, that's like the Emperor's Cookbook.
If you were involved in the Adeptus Gastronomicon, then you could the Black Templars is a good place to go. You've got the egg timer, you've got the flamer. You're going to be cooking up some delectable meals with those guys.
Yeah, I mean maybe they are they're just.
That's what they should be. They should rename them the Adeptus Gastronomicon. Yeah. Welcome back to this last part of the show. Everyone knows it as the best bit of the show, the most high quality, most thought out part of the show. We call the Lords of Law quiz, where we do a quiz where I pit Matt and Welshie against each other, sometimes collaboratively, which is what we're going to be doing here today. We're going to be doing a collaborative effort because I wanted to celebrate some of this animation stuff, and how on our second episode we did a casting of the Horus Heresy, where we cast real life actors to play people in the Horus Heresy movie. Well, now I want you to cast cartoon characters. This is going to be an animated movie made up of only animated characters. They can be Bugs Bunny, they can be Raphael. I don't care. First up, we've got Lehman Russ. What animated character would be a good Lehman Russ?
Wile E. Coyote.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Uh,
Is he?
With a full ham Swedish accent.
Sorry,
What about Yosemite Sam? Do you remember Yosemite Sam who jumped
Yosemite
around,
Sam,
shooting his guns
maybe.
up in the air?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, what about just Obelisk, the fat one?
Oh,
that would be
Asterix
funny.
and Obelisk.
Yeah, because Asterix
Yeah.
is too little. Obelisk, he could probably shed a few pounds, get into shape.
But
he
he's kind
knows
of too
the ways,
dumb though. I still
speaks the
think maybe
language.
Asterix is better.
You reckon he can put the pounds on up to Russ size, or just leave him as it is?
I think
Like
go
this
up.
No,
Star
just
Wars.
give him some stilts.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, I guess
We'll
just
Tom
his
Cruise
head.
him.
His
We'll
head
Tom
in the
Cruise him.
armor.
We'll
Yeah,
green
yeah.
screen him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sorted.
Cool. Lehman Russ, played by Asterix. Right. Ferris Manus.
Hmm.
It's got to be Jax from Mortal Kombat, right?
Is he does he
Maybe.
count as a cartoon character? Are we going?
They've made a cartoon of Mortal
just-
Kombat.
Okay. Well, I can
Okay.
see that for sure. I mean, he's
Yeah,
got the
yeah,
metal
yeah.
arms.
Hmm.
I don't know how well he'll play on screen
Okay.
with Asterix, but
They've
I
got a
could be up for
chemistry in we saw in rehearsals.
yeah.
Okay, well, Fulgrim.
Jessica
Ooh,
Rabbit
I don't know.
as a man,
What?
like dressed as a
Okay,
man.
yeah.
She's got the silver
In a
wig.
pink,
It's like
in a like a purple dress.
reverse drag, whatever that's called. There's
Yeah.
a name for that these
Yeah.
days. I can't remember what it is, but that's what Jessica Rabbit,
Yeah. Okay.
fully.
Yeah.
Sexed
but
up.
like, yeah.
I just want to see more Jessica Rabbit on TV.
Isn't there? There's a snake that talks to you. There's a snake that. What am I thinking of? There's this like a snake, an evil snake that's like.
An evil snake? What in
It
like?
talks-
You're thinking of
Robin
Car.
Hood?
Are you thinking of Car
Yes,
from the Jungle
yeah.
Book?
Yeah, I think so. I think I am. Yeah.
Car from the Jungle Book. So he starts off as a serpent.
Yeah.
All right. Car from the Jungle Book.
What
Playing
about the bottom half? Can we have bottom half of Car from the Jungle Book, top half of Jessica Rabbit, but with
Yeah.
Car's voice?
Okay.
The car's voice. I was going to say, yeah,
Car's,
the voice.
Car's
yeah,
voice
yeah,
coming out of Jessica Rabbit would be
yeah.
something
With a
else.
snake,
Mix
with a
between Jessica
tail.
Rabbit and
Yeah.
Khan from the all right, then from the Lion, not the Lion King, the fucking Jungle Book. Cool. All right, so next up we've got Vulcan.
What about Barney the dinosaur? There must be like a cartoon version of Barney the dinosaur. He's
Yeah, there
kind of
is. I'm sure there is. Yeah.
Got the scales. Like,
and he's like
but he
really
can breathe
friendly
fire.
And, yeah. What I
That
mean,
was the-
Barney
that was
the
the
friendly
plot of Barney
dinosaur
the whole
That's-
time.
Yeah,
He could
friendly.
breathe fire and like
and
had to eat
that's
human
great.
flesh outside of the show.
And
It's
like
probably-
Barney, Vulcan Barney just kind of walks around in circles singing, and all the children are like following him, singing along.
He's probably got like a sweet forge working song where he's singing a nice kid's song as he's forging himself a
Yeah.
cool hammer, but he's also
Yeah,
ripped, like he's sweating, he's in front of the fire, ripped Barney, like forging some metal.
I love you. We love
maybe
We're
like one
all
of
one
the
happy family. That's the Barney song. Da,
Like-
da, da,
like
da,
kinda-
da, da, da.
maybe a bit like one of the Seven Dwarfs or something like that, you know, because they're all miners, so you never see them with their shirt off, but they're all down there mining all day. They're probably ripped
yeah.
as shit.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking of the Rammstein video with like the giant Snow White where she bends all the dwarfs over and spanks them. You seen that?
Yeah.
That's
No,
dark.
no.
I don't know why my mind
No,
went there.
well,
Jessica
go-
Rabbit. She's
go
put me down
Barney.
a hole.
Go Barney.
Okay, Barney.
All
I'm
right,
happy with
Barney playing Vulcan, the dinosaur. All right.
You can't even hold the hammer.
Next up is Rogel Dawn. Who
Oh,
what's cartoon character?
I've got the you know the Wild Thornberrys. You know the dad. in
Oh,
Wild
Nigel
Thornberries?
Thornbury.
Nigel Thornbury. Yeah.
yeah. Just being really annoying.
Yeah, with his
Yeah.
moustache.
Yeah, yeah. I'm 100% behind that. Like he'd always be
Cast.
popping up and telling you you're doing something wrong. Like, oh,
You're building that wall wrong.
Yeah.
Next up is Roberto Gilliman, similar frame. Who do you think's going to play Roberto Gilliman? cartoon character.
Is Roberto
That's a bit
Gilliman
obvious.
the like Spanish version?
Yeah, let's do
Alright.
the Spanish version.
Okay, so-
Spanish
You mean
version.
Rebute Gilliman? Roberto
Okay, so next
Gilliman's like.
Mr. Bump.
Oh, Mr. Bump, it's a good shout. You've gone the way I have. I was going to go with one of the Smurfs. I think Papa Smurf's too old. Smurfette's a joke we've already used.
What about Captain Planet? That's another blue one. He's a bit annoying.
He is annoying, but maybe even he's too cool for Gilliman. I do hate
Okay.
Gilliman. I could go
Anyway.
with Captain Planet. He is annoying.
Yeah,
He
let's
is
do
quite
that.
buff.
Yeah,
We probably
Yeah.
do need a
Can we
bit of a
Captain
leading
Planet?
man.
yeah. He can't be a
Yeah.
Smurf.
Because it's
He
got to
can't-
be acting as well. So this is Captain Planet acting as Gilliman. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
and the role everyone's been clamoring to see. Right. Sticking with the colour theme, we've got Magnus the Red up next. What cartoon character is going to play Magnus the Red? Is it going to be Clifford the big red dog? Repurposed, stood up on his hind legs with a wig on.
Oh God!
I've got the perfect Magnus post
Post
demonization.
Clifford.
All right.
Okay, what?
Who is it?
I'm afraid it's not as funny as Clifford, the big red dog, but I think it fits. I'm going with. Do you remember in the Return of Jafar, and maybe even in Real Aladdin, where Jafar turns into a genie and he's like
shit.
red genie, red evil.
Oh, yeah.
Genie.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Red Evil
Yeah.
Genie. That's an amazing. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
that's,
okay,
that's
yeah,
a better
yeah,
version.
yeah.
Magnus is Red Evil Genie from Aladdin. All right. Next up, we got Sanguinius, the angel. Who's a good angel?
Oh,
Are there any angel cartoons?
can't think of anything.
What about just getting Jesus from the Bible cartoon? You know, like those shitty Bible cartoons that you watch as kids. Like Jesus is having to be downgraded.
Bible cartoons.
You know, like
like
cartoons.
some,
for,
it's like some straight to
biblical
DVD,
schools.
like
Yeah,
story of Jesus, but it's like some 3D animation done on some shoddy computer somewhere.
that's it. But he's really pissed off because we're making him act as a Sanguinius.
I think he's got to have wings, though, isn't he? I was thinking of the guy from the Red Bull adverts.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the guy with the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
That's it. 100%. Yeah.
The Emperor gives you wings. The crude hand comes down.
Everyone's
Fly
trying to
away.
be really sad and depressive in the grim dark, and he's bobbing around cheering your people up. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's having a rave, keeping people going.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Lionel Johnson. What cartoon character could play Lionel Johnson?
I like to imagine him as the lion from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Stick him up. The lion with the big sword. There must be a cartoon version of that.
What about Garfield? That's a close version,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the,
yeah,
lion
yeah.
version of- How much does Lionel Johnson like lasagna?
A lot.
Mm.
Well, there you go.
What about
Yeah.
he
what
hates
about though?
Mondays.
What about like
Yeah.
I'm thinking in this reality where we're retraining cartoon characters, what about if we could have a bit of a like reconnaissance, you know, where they bring Matthew McConaughey back from his childhood heyday? What's happened to Simba these days? What if we can get a down and out Simba who's already looking quite scruffy to kind of come back to the acting game 20 years on with a real gruff appearance?
Yeah.
Hard edge.
Yeah.
Hard cut detective noir.
Maybe
where
his-
Simba unearths a dirty child porn ring that's happening inside with Mufasa inside
That's
the
it.
tree of life or whatever.
Maybe
Yeah,
his
I
like
like it.
real life's played out like the book. Maybe his uncle's murdered his dad. There's a load of strange goings on.
Pumbaa's shown up dead. A hoof has been received through the post. Only one man can save it. It's Simba,
Yeah,
detective from the Lion King.
that's it.
So, Perturabo. What cartoon character is a good Perturabo?
Dexter.
Yeah.
Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
From the science point of view.
What about Toadborg from Bucky O'Hare? Did you guys ever watch Bucky
I
O'Hare?
don't
No,
know
I've
what
not
that
seen
is.
that.
Oh man, He was like this crazy rabbit that flew through space, and Toadborg was like this, like a toad that lived in like a big kind of robot, basically.
Mm. Oh shit! Cable from X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got like that metal disease where he's like turning into metal.
Oh, okay.
And he's got all the like crazy amount of guns. He's the only X-Man that's like packing heat.
That's his special power, is he's got a bunch of guns.
Yeah.
He's a mutant. Everyone stay away from him. Right, next up is Mortarion, the slimy, greasy scumbag of the
Shrek.
What about Pepe Le Pew?
Oh, Pepe.
Stinky skunk. He's a bit rapey though, old Pepe.
Maybe Master Splinter. Because he is a rat after all, and no one's expecting him to turn up and be a real villain, a real turn of character. Popeye food looks pretty gross. Popeye with a big scythe.
Yeah, definitely. Popeye as Mortarion is the best thing ever. He'll just be like, "Oh, I need another glug of me old disgusting poison here."
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't he have like a Somerset accent?
Yeah. Maybe.
What,
maybe.
I've just popped in for me ploughman's lunch here. I'll have a can of spinach with me ploughman, please, Daffel.
What if Popeye over the years from eating only spinach has developed a kind of jaundice? He's probably looks kind of yellow, his teeth are already falling out. He's not going to be in the best of shape.
He's got like spinach poisoning. Yeah. That's what Nurgle is. It's just too much spinach. Right, okay. All right, Popeye as Mortarion. Nice. All right, Lorgar. Who are we casting as this? See, I think maybe Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory could be a good Lorgar.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Like Dick Dastardly. It's kind of annoying and
he's an excellent Lorgar.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Lorgar, Dick Dastardly. Okay, the Khan. Who are we casting as the Khan?
One of the biker mice from Mars.
Yes.
Okay.
Classic.
Nice.
They love their motorbikes. Yeah.
Right. Which one?
I don't know what they're fucking called.
They're called like Ratchet, Spanner, Screwdriver.
Spanner. Put Spanner in.
Spanner. All right. Spanner's going in. Spanner. Right. Cool. Next up is our boy Konrad Curze. Who are we going to get for that? Evil, sneaky. What about Splinter? No,
you mean Shredder? Yeah, Shredder.
Yeah.
Potentially, because I feel like deep down inside, Shredder just wants the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to like him.
Yeah. Or Skeletor.
Oh yeah. Skeletor would be an excellent.
Skeletor with a sweet greasy wig. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. Yeah. Skeletor for Konrad Curze. All right, Angeron.
Fred Flintstone. Losing his shit.
Oh, maybe.
Tasmanian Devil.
Oh,
yes, do the Tasmanian Devil. Yes.
Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah.
Right.
What's the noise that thing makes? That's like the crazy frog.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's it. He's running around with holding two hammers.
Who are we going to get playing Korax then? Batman the animated series.
Yeah. Isn't there like a Transylvanian, like a kind of vampire-y cartoon?
What, Count Duckula?
Oh,
Count
I remember
Duckula.
that. Yeah.
That was great. It's got the theme tune for that. If that didn't have lyrics on, that would be an intro to Large Blast in a minute. That's funky as hell.
I think that would work. I think Count Duckula would work.
Yeah.
So then there's only one left to cast. The animated Horus. Who's going to play the main role? This was The Rock in our real life movie that we made. So which animated actor are we going to get to play Horus?
Tony the Tiger.
Yeah. Okay.
Big personality, draws the crowd in.
Oh yeah, that's
SpongeBob's pretty popular these days.
SpongeBob Horus.
No, Tony is a good shout.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what about like?
What about if it'd be like Bugs Bunny? Because you can imagine like Bugs Bunny felt evil and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
what's that?
Mickey Mouse or something.
Millhouse? No.
Millhouse.
Not Millhouse.
What about if we cast Homer? And it's just like the whole thing was a big dome moment where he pushed the wrong button on some nuclear reactor and it ended up like causing the Horus Heresy.
Okay. Yeah, I could do that.
Homer Simpson.
Or Peter Griffin to make it a bit more I think Homer really wraps it up.
Homer?
Okay. Yeah,
Homer Simpson. Homer Simpson as Horus then. There we go. Taking it home. It's going to be a blockbuster smash hit. Look out for it in your cinemas. If you want to hear our original list, I think it's fucking episode 2. So go back and check that out. This has been the Large Blast podcast. No one's a winner on this Lords of Lore. It was just a fun thing we all did. And we all won. Friendship won today. So take yourselves home.
Curze won today.
Curze always wins.
So fear that. And we'll see you next time on the Large Blast podcast.